speaking from the chair.
Order! Order! Just grab that man, will you, for crying out loud. Say that's not clever. I'm sorry, that is not acceptable. I'm putting the vote in. I don't expect the Minister to walk through, especially when the whips tell him. Mr Lancaster, you're better than that normally.
They are measured,
Order!
by the
Order!
Nothing has won tonight. In what do I take comfort? Well, Roger Federer put on a majestic masterclass in Miami last night, so I'm happy about that. And of course I'm happy that although nothing won tonight, and here in this chamber, and at the Emirates, Arsenal did win 2-0.
European Commission,
The British people knew what they were voting on.
But I am... Oh, the millionaire says I'm boring you. Prepare to be bored.
This kind of language is not helping this debate in any way. Mr Denis MacShane.
Deputy Speaker, if I am insulted and catcalled from sedentary positions, they will get as good as they give.
Switzerland is Britain's 7th biggest trading partner globally. The honourable gentleman should know that.
Yeah, I don't want to invest levity into these important proceedings, but equally one mustn't lose one's sense of humour. That 32 billion volume of trade with Switzerland is very important, but I always say the best thing about Switzerland is not its watches or its financial services or its chocolate. The best thing about Switzerland is Roger Federer. Greg Hands
has quite clearly failed to recognise that I was in the chamber earlier today during this...
Order! 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 The honourable member must sit down if I rise to my feet. Order! He will not continue the debate from a sedentary position, otherwise he will get into real trouble. I would say to the honourable member what he was raising was a point of debate, which he will have other opportunities to correct if he wishes. It is not a point of order for the chair. I think we've heard quite sufficient on this tonight. There will be a debate tomorrow.
The chair will not become involved in an argument between one front bench and the other, one side of the House and the other. The Minister has order! Do not shout when I'm speaking from the chair. People may not walk in front of the person who's about to speak from the dispatch box.
If he's really concerned about the reputation of this place, as he claims, he should think very carefully about the way he lumps things together. That's the only point I'm making. And if I can say to the Glasgow...
Order. I think the honourable gentleman knows my views about seated interventions. Mr Walker.
If the honourable gentleman wants to ever make any comments or observations about me, just try it. That's the advice I give him. Just try it. I make many overseas visits that I pay for. I've no qualms about that, none whatever. What's more important, I take my family.
Clause 1 be read a second time as... Order!
Jeremy.
Sit!
Jeremy.
Just sit, Jeremy, a minute. The question is that new Clause 1 be read a second... That is absolute disgrace. OK. Right, we'll try again and see if we can make progress. Somebody who's been in the House so long should know better. The question is the income tax motion. As many of that opinion say aye. Aye. On the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. Yeah. The ayes have it.
The right honourable gentleman is a very senior member of this House, and he is a former Chief Whip. He is not the Speaker of this House, and it's not for the right honourable... And And it's not for the right honourable gentleman to presume the order in which matters are considered, and I trust that he won't suppose that it is for him to do so. Let me say very gently to the right honourable gentleman, I treat him with respect. I'm not intimidated by the right honourable gentleman, and I'm absolutely sure he wouldn't seek to intimidate me. I am taking a point of order from the right honourable lady, and frankly, that's the situation. Point of order, Anna Soubry.
Mr. Speaker, the country is watching this.
So I don't want this to be the debate that we are proposing to have and that the leader is advocating having tomorrow. Chris Bryant.
Mr. Speaker, if you just told me to shut up, I would have probably done so. You could have done it a bit more briefly, if I might say.
Order. Let me just say to the honourable gentleman. Order. Let me just say to the honourable gentleman, although I'll always profit by his counsels, the honourable gentleman has already devoted some minutes to the substance of tomorrow, so it ill behoves him to lecture me on brevity. He's spoken for quite a long time, not on the sittings motion, but on the substance of tomorrow. Wrap it up, man. Chris Bryant.
I could say the same, Mr. Speaker.
Resume your seat. I say very gently to the honourable gentleman, let it go, make your point, which we always enjoy hearing, finish the speech and let others take part. I don't need any backchat from the honourable gentleman. Chris Bryant. For the result of the division, but I'm sure that in a cordial spirit, colleagues across the House will want to congratulate the honourable gentleman, the member for Strangford, on his birthday.
There is a deal on the table that will end the uncertainty and allow this country to move on. And our polling shows that that is exactly what the British people want. All he has to do is get behind it, vote for the Prime Minister's deal, and we can all move on.
I just very gently say to the Chancellor, to whom I've been listening with great care, it's quite difficult to vote for something if there isn't a vote. So I'm really trying to help the right honourable gentleman, but it's a point that's so blindingly obvious, I'm surprised that I have to state it. The honourable gentleman has got to learn the art of patience. And if he is patient, if he deploys Zen, he will find that it is ultimately to everybody's advantage. So we'll leave it there, and we come now. Now, very well. If the right honourable gentleman was able to find time to brief or to ensure that others briefed the newspapers on his behalf, and he managed to scuttle off to do a radio interview, and then to pop up on the Andrew Marr show yesterday to give viewers and the nation the benefit of his views, the right honourable gentleman should have been here. And if the Secretary of State for the Home Department aspires to something a little more elevated than to be a jobbing functionary of the executive branch and wants to be a serious and respected parliamentarian, he has to develop antennae and respect for the rights of the House of Commons. In the circumstances, and he's had notice that he should be here, it is both ill-judged and rude of the Secretary of State for the Home Department to send his admittedly brilliant junior minister into the chamber when he should be here. I'm sorry, I take no view on the policy because that's not for the Speaker to do, but in procedural terms, it really is time that he upped his game.
Be substantially the same then to be consistent, sir, you would have to rule that out too.
Well, I'm always grateful to the right honourable gentleman. I've often reminded the House, and I say for the benefit of those attending to our proceedings, that I first came to know the right honourable gentleman in September 1983, when I unkindly and wrongly suggested that he was intellectually knee-high to a grasshopper.
We now come to new clause 44. No, the clerk wants me to insert something.
Is that one, sorry?
Obviously a very, very interesting part of the bill. The question is that Schedule 6 be the sixth